Welcome back, everyone, to our latest episode of the Gaming Book Club, episode 5 of Metal Gear Solid 4 Guns of the Patriots, and the final episode of this. So, Christian, I'll pass it over to you.
Yeah. All
Buckle in
right.
for a 4 hour episode.
No. So we open here at the final act, so Act 5, Old Sun. And we are on the Missouri. So we are in a little a room with Mei Ling is doing a PowerPoint presentation for us. And over on an overhead projector, which the three of us are familiar with, but there is plenty of people on this world now that don't even know what that is. So, we'll just have to deal with that. But yeah, so she's doing this presentation, and more or less, I'm just gonna, for the rest of this, outside of a few moments, we are going to be paraphrasing a lot of what happens at the end here, especially towards the epilogue, because there is some heavy dialogue. So everybody's in the room, so all of Meryl's squad, Snake, Otacon, are all in here, and then Mei Ling. And they're basically just going over where they believe Liquid is heading and what they're doing. And in the middle of this, Johnny decides that... So Mei Ling falls over, and she, drops her, the pointer stick that she's using. And Meryl catches Johnny really checking out Mei Ling here. And... Meryl kind of looks at Johnny, and Johnny looks like he's like, "Oh shit, I got caught," and she's like, "You're a fucking idiot." And then something happens here that I genuinely do not understand. I had to look this up because I was like, why does he do this when he just already him and Meryl were already he admitted "Oh, I got a crush on you," and it's like, oh, this moment was supposed to be showing that Johnny is an impulsive character that just just is acting on instinct all the time, or whatever. Because there's a moment where Mei Ling, after getting back up and is talking to everybody, she walks past everybody, and Johnny goes to basically slap her butt more or less, or see if he can get a grab.
Yeah.
And Meryl punches him, and he's like, "Oh, I'm an idiot." And it's I genuinely don't get this, but whatever. It's, hey, Metal Gear. Or I shouldn't even say Metal Gear, I should just say Kojima. So anyway, they're going over the plan of attack here. And in the middle of this, they basically say, hey, so the AI is stored in the middle of, GW is stored in the middle of Liquid ship, and it's guarded by a giant hallway that is getting blasted with microwaves. So even if you do make it to that point, it's going to just start cooking you alive. And Snake starts to cough and laugh, and he goes, and he's pulling away his little oxygen mask, and he's like, a giant microwave oven, you'd have to have a death wish to go in there. Sounds like the perfect job for me. And everybody's
what does he have to live for by this point?
He's gonna die.
Right.
Yeah.
And everybody just goes, kind of looks at him and is like, shut the fuck up. Stop, don't do this. And he kind of has this thing where he's like, no one wants to laugh with me? All right, that's fine. And he puts his mask back on. And from there, we get all the way to the end. So they go over their plan of attack and how they're going to get on Liquid ship and what they're going to do. And she goes, all right, so does anybody have any other questions? And Snake raises his hand, and she goes, yes, Snake. And he goes, anybody got a smoke? And then Meryl just literally hangs her head and just goes, Snake, and just shakes his head. And then scene changes, and Snake and Otacon are walking across the deck. And they're talking about the program that Sonny has written that she finished from Otacon's sister, that's going to basically blow up GW from the inside and do what it was supposed to do. And they do make a comment here, though, where as the end, when they're getting ready to leave, or getting ready to prepare to leave, Snake actually asks, he's like, hey, so how about Raiden? And he's like, well, we were able to pull him from the water, but he is in absolutely no condition to do anything, so we just need to let him rest. And that was the nice where you're like, oh, okay, cool. So he's still alive. He did not actually.
Yeah.
They didn't leave him at the bottom of the ocean. He's there. And as they're getting ready, we end up seeing people are getting ready to basically launch themselves onto Liquid Ship. And who shows up but our old pal, Drebin. And he basically just lets us know that he's here, and he's given everybody, he outfitted the entire Missouri with a bunch of different weapons and different things that are all free from the system's control, so that we can get our best chance at being able to stop Liquid from launching his nuke and destroying JD. And from there, the main thing is it cuts to a scene where the Missouri is pulling up alongside Liquid Ship, and they start trying to shoot at it to get its attention. It opens up its like the side, the cover basically to reveal the railgun, and he's basically in position waiting for JD to come right into orbit so he can shoot it out of the sky, and as they are getting ready to launch themselves on there, as they pull up alongside it and sort of like scrape alongside and do this whole thing, they launch themselves over, and everybody makes it out onto the ship, more or less, except for Johnny. He misses right at the side, like smacks it, and he's like, "Oh!" He's like, "Meryl!" And he's like reaching after her, and she calls back out his name, and then from there, as soon as we land, Meryl is on the radio, and she's asking where we are. And we ask where she's at, and she's like, it's my ankle, and he's like, can you walk? And she's like, I think so. And it sounds like she's having sort of trouble getting up, and she's like, this hurts so much without SOP. And he goes, it makes you feel alive, doesn't it? What about Akiba? And she goes, he fell into the ocean. Snake, I'll catch up with you soon. And then hangs up. But actually, before she hangs up, we start to hear gunfire, and we call out to her, and then she doesn't answer back and hangs up. And Otacon shows up with the Mark III, and he sort of deactivates the self-camouflage. And from there, we start to make our way towards the microwave oven. That's where we're headed. So we're headed to the middle of the ship. So we fight some through here. And there's a lot of stuff that's going on here, right? So we're trying to make our way to the command room to do all of this. But it's basically all frog unit soldiers and then geckos that are covering this, and the little mini ones too. Mm-hmm. They're basically all over, and you're at a constant state of caution. So even if no one sees you and you are tranking everybody, everybody knows that somebody's there. So there's the caution thing never goes away.
You're in the middle of battle.
And so yeah, but we're going.
I know we said this last time. I hate those little mini ones. Those mini ones are the freaking worst. I got to the point where like I just ran past them and just did a strategic like double tap forward roll through them every time.
So what I would do is, especially as we get closer here, but there's some sections where I will start. I will roll through them, and then they'll all start like clumping together and coming after me, and so I will roll through them, grab a grenade, throw it at my feet, and then roll away again. And then by the time they come up, it blows up like every single one of them. And then I just see the Drebin points come flooding in. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, yep, that'll work. And then I just basically do that anytime they get too
That'll
close
do,
to me.
pig.
That'll do, pig. That will do. But yeah, so we make our way up into the control room. And we see the last of the B&Bs here. So Snake is making his way to the center of the command center room, and a bunch of the frog units show up, and they're sort of like, Snake can't see them, but they are hiding behind all these computers and like moving around, like getting ready to get the drop down to him. And as he makes to the middle of the floor, he sees Meryl, and she is unconscious. And from there, that's when the frog unit sort of gets the jump on him. So we'd start taking down some enemies. And as we finish that part out, we go back to check on Meryl, and she's like, sort of coming back to, and she's like, "You got to get out of here." And as soon as she comes to and says that, we dodge just out of the way because somebody shoots like a ball of the energy basically at us, and then that's where we see Screaming Mantis, and she is like, Meryl's raising up behind us, and she's like aiming the Desert Eagle at Snake, and then it starts, like, she's aiming it at it, and then it slowly starts to move, and she's like aiming it at her head, and she goes to, hold on, I'm gonna sneeze. Jesus. Anyway, and so Snake is like, Meryl, don't. And right before it looks like she's about to blow her head off this time, a shot comes through, and it breaks the string that she's held together with, just like how Psycho Mantis had. And it's Johnny. Johnny's here, and he has somehow made his way back onto the ship, and climbed himself up here, got here, and he shot it with his, also like a massive fucking sniper rifle. He's got like a 50 caliber sniper rifle.
That is like a tank sniper.
Yeah.
I will. Well, I'll let you keep going. I just wanted to make a comment when we finish this boss fight. So.
Yeah. But so Johnny starts running towards her, and Snake is like, "Wait, don't come closer." And the frog the frog troopers jump out and just like light him up, and he's like, "Oh!" and he just like falls over. And then we hear a different voice, and it's like, "It's been a long time, Snake." And he's like, "Is that Psycho Mantis?" And he looks up, and it's Screaming Mantis, but the ghost of Psycho Mantis is sitting behind her. And from there, that is where we start this boss fight. So it's kind of a spin on, just like all of these other B&B fights, it's kind of a spin on the Psycho Mantis fight, right? So there'll be, you have enemies that are coming in, but Meryl is there, and she's controlling Meryl, and if you try to... And Otacon calls out the same thing before you start the fight, but he's like, "Hey, even if Meryl shoots at you, you don't," like, he goes, "Don't do anything to her. Knock her out if you have to, but like, she's not in control of her own actions," kind of thing. And from there, you were doing this fight, and the way this fight works out is, as you're defeating these enemies, Psycho Mantis will also, any enemies that you kill or knock out, will bring them also back to life somehow, like with the dolls, and will put them in your way of trying to do things and whatever, right? And she'll have them attack you and whatever. So the objective here is you have to shoot at her dolls to be able to do damage, and when you do enough damage of them, you are able to pick up the dolls for yourself and use them against her. And then finally, at the end, and this is the part that I told you guys, which, since we're all playing on PS3 now, this isn't an issue, but this is the one motion part of the game where when you do hit her with the doll, you have to use the motion to, jumble her around like you would a marionette.
Oh, yeah.
And then that's how you'll do the actual damage to her. And then, just the same as all these other fights, once you do that and get through that phase, she falls down, all the armor falls off, she's in her plug suit, and then you go the same way that you would normally do, where you shoot at her or trank her, however you feel like doing it. And then this is the only time that it gets a little different, is before we get to the Drebin part where they give you her whole background. After she's knocked out and Snake goes to check on her to like make sure that she's, either past life or still moving, but she's still moving, and then all of a sudden all of the armor that she had on her shoots off and connects itself, and then here it is, but Psycho Mantis comes back, and he is completely taken over all of this armor, Um, and Snake goes, Psycho Mantis, and he goes, "You don't seem to believe your own eyes. Very well. I'll show you the power of the world's greatest mind reader and psychokineticist. I'll start by reading your personality, or rather your past. That's right. This is no trick. It's true power." Then he goes, "What? Where is your save data? Where is it saved?" And then you can start mashing the flashback button, and it's literally like perfect marketing photos of the PlayStation memory card, like the PlayStation 1 memory card, which I thought was so good. And he goes, "There's no memory card. Damn, your skills are improved, or rather your hardware." And he goes, "How about this then? Witness my psychokinesis and put your controller on the floor and put it down as flat as you can." And then he goes to move your controller, with the vibration, and it starts to it shows the old DualShock controllers, and he goes, "Vibration is back." And then from there, the Psycho Mantis' body begins spazzing uncontrollably as the armored pieces of Screaming Mantis are fired off in multiple directions. And then his ghost sort of just like fades away and disappears. And Snake is kind of like looking around, and he's like very confused about what's going on, but he puts his weapons away. And this is where Drebin gives the background of the final B&B here. And it's just like every other background. The main difference here is that, as she was going through, it's kind of like the way Drebin describes it is like the scene, but from like Inglorious Bastards or whatever in the beginning, where they're hiding under the floorboards, from the Nazis or whatever. He describes the same thing. Like, she's here, and she can hear all this stuff, and as she was running away, she stumbled against like a makeshift torture chamber from all these victims, and she didn't eat anything, but she was drinking all of like the filthy pooled up water, I guess, that was in there. And then she ends up, to feed herself, she starts eating the corpses that are in this room, and it was like this giant hallucination. She goes crazy, this whole thing. And the way that what they ended up doing was implanting Psycho Mantis's personality into her with drugs and all of this, and hypnosis, and did all this and tried to put. They said they implanted the persona of my Psycho Mantis, and it was not her that actually controlled all the B&Bs. It was actually Psycho Mantis half assimilated into her soul, pulling all of these strings and then just doing all of this stuff. And so, and then it ends. And Drebin's like, "Anyway, you got it. You did the last one, so get on over there to GW, basically." And I'll stop there so we can talk about that fight. But, I think you guys can tell. I'll say this, since I said that I would wait for the final part here. I hate the B&Bs. I think all four of them suck. I don't think that any of them are good. I think that the fights are just like basically like nostalgia nods to the first game, which is all well and good, but I do not think that they offer really anything of substance. I don't care about any of their backstories. I think that they're all like so over-explained and crazy that by the time you get to the end, you're just like, yeah, okay, like whatever. I think some of the fights are fun, but I really kind of only feel that way about. I do actually like the Screaming Mantis fight. I think it's a fun one, especially when you get to use the dolls and stuff like that. And then I like the wolf fight too, but because I think the sniper battle part is fun. But the other ones I think are fun. I mean, the Laughing Octopus is okay, but I don't think it's as good as the other two. But either way, I don't like any of them. I just have never. I think this game is a better game if you just remove the B&Bs wholesale. But that's me. Where are you guys at on this fight and then in general, I guess?
Well, I like the B&Bs. I think that the background story, the very end with Drebin, is just pure audio dialogue. I wasn't a big fan of that. Like, maybe do some of the stuff that you did in some of the other, like, explanations. Like, when you're talking about all of the AI stuff, like, you have, like, these, like, still images and stuff that you're moving around and have something to kind of entice your eyes with, but really it's just Drebin's logo on a fucking codec, and that's all you got. I really like the Octopus one. I think Laughing Octopus was probably one of the best ones. As far as, like, what you have to do, how to find her, things like that. I thought the flying one was really cool, the Raven one, because you can get up on the top and you kind of shoot your rockets from there. That was a lot of fun. And kind of meet them from inside. And then you had not the Beast. What was the one after that?
The Wolf.
That's the Beast. So you have 5 of them, right? You have Octopus, you have Raven, you have Wolf.
No, there's 4.
There's 4? Okay. So, yeah, then I thought the Beast was cool as far as, like, I thought I was going to have to fight just the Beast, right? But the Beast, like, she pops out and has her sniper rifle. I'm like, oh, okay, that's a cool little change. Yeah. It does attack you, like, normally, but you're not fighting this cat fucking thing the entire time trying to figure out how to hit it. And then you have this final one, which I thought was really neat. It was kind of a nice play on it. I had the Obi-Wan talking to Luke in the Death Star moment to where it's like, Preston, use the codec from fucking Christian while I'm sitting here like, what the fuck? I can't hit this goddamn thing. So I pull up the codec, and it's like, well, we don't know what to do. You can't just switch your controller to the controller 2 like you did last time. I'm like, okay, well, let me see what I do if I do that. So I switched over, and like you get an immediate call in the codec. It's like, yeah, you can't move your character in player 2 section. That's not how the PlayStation 3 works. It's like, okay, so you go back and you got to figure it out. And the codec didn't really help me too much as far as figuring out how to hurt the Psycho Mantis or Laughing Mantis or whatever the fuck it is.
Screaming Mantis.
Yeah, Screaming Mantis.
Did you only call once?
I called multiple times. I called 2 people that are in my codec because there's only 2 people in my codec.
I called it twice, and on the second one it was like, shoot the puppets.
Yeah. Oh, I don't think I got that. If I did, I may have not just noticed it, but I didn't have looking up.
I was gonna wait to let him finish and tell him that it's definitely there, but thank you, Alex.
Yeah. So at least it's there. I missed it. But I thought it was funny that I did have that like little thing. Listen to codec, and it's like, well, we don't know how to defeat it. I'm like, well, fuck me. I pulled the codec like you told me to, and now I can't figure out. I don't look at the guide. Mm-hmm. So I did that. That was fine and fun. I like the B&Bs outside of pretty lady in tight suits at nice angles. Outside of that, I still enjoy them as boss battles. I just didn't need necessarily the info dump of their, horrible past. Or at least didn't need that much of an info dump. I mean, you could have just did a very smaller amount of it, or had it maybe to where they're talking about it with the BB while you're doing it, and like once they get out of their suit and they're kind of like coming towards you and stuff like that. And I think I saw at one point when I was watching a playthrough previously, I think you can turn on your iPod to a dance song, and I think the BBs will dance for you. There's something like that to where there's a funny thing to once they get out of their suit. I remember seeing it in a playthrough.
I think there is an Easter egg like that.
Yeah, I think you can do the pop song that you were listening to, Alex, and like they'll actually just start dancing a little bit, and you can kind of shoot them then. But no, I personally I enjoyed the BBs.
I did not. I mean, I'm a little torn on it. Like, I thought the octopus fight was cool, especially just like the way it worked, right? The camo and like hiding in different places, even hiding among the bodies you've already knocked out. Like that was cool.
The best one first, which I thought was kind of bad. It's like maybe Octopus should have been later on, because like that to me was like one of the better ones, and like it was like, oh, you kind of just left that from the beginning.
The Raven one was dumb and annoying. Honestly, it was more annoying than anything.
Sure, I can see that.
The Sniper Wolf one thing, or whatever her name was, like she was also not great. Like, it was just, she just runs around, and I just sat in a tower waiting for her to come out. And you, like, there was, okay, whatever. The last one, I liked the fight. Like, I thought it was interesting, at least with, like, these 2 weird little voodoo dolls. And I thought it was cool to use the voodoo dolls on her. Mm-hmm. Like, that was cool. But again, like, the stagecraft of her floating with the voodoo dolls and controlling, characters and other stuff was cooler than the actual fight. But all of them have the dumbest stories, like the most needless, pointless, like all. Again, I'm gonna harp on this forever. You assessed and asserted this at the very beginning of the game, where the AI is capable of manipulating soldiers to make them feel happy when they're killing, feel less pain when they get injured, and that's how they're controlling the battlefield. Literally all you need to say was, we kidnapped 4 kids when they were young and we've turned them into killing machines. Hard stop, moving on.
And you've already done that. They already did that before with Raiden, right? Like, when you were figuring out, like, him going through that VR training with the Patriots and everything, it's like, yeah, they found a child soldier, they turned him into a killer, and now they've turned him into their weapon. And no one has needed more information about Raiden's backstory. It's been great. You completely understand. Where this one, they're like, no, the girl was chewing on the bones, and you're like, oh, Jesus Christ.
Yeah, she heard the screams of the ravens, and it's like, just so stupid. So stupid. So, yeah, I don't know. Like, I liked her design. I thought it was cool. I did think it was a little dumb bringing Psycho Mantis back. Like, I literally rolled my eyes when they brought him back, and they did the whole, like, oh, you've upgraded your hardware. It was just like...
Oh, I thought that was a fun little Easter egg with the PS3.
It's like, I get you're doing the whole, like, nostalgia piece of looking at it, but, like, again...
Because they did it with the Blu-ray disc earlier, too, in Shadow Moses, where they were like, it's dual layered.
Oh, I know. I bitched about
he was
that
not a
as
fan
well.
of that.
So it's just... It's like... Go ahead.
I was gonna say, I wish they would have actually just pulled your save data. Like, there's not a memory card, but you still have a hard drive in your PS3. And, like, I understand you're not gonna be able to do everything for everything, but, like, PlayStation exclusives, like, I had Stardust on there, I had Infamous save data on there. Like, maybe they could have pulled something from there, but it might have been a little bit harder. I understand it's not a big deal, but, like, you could have something.
I think it was more of an operating system issue. Like, I don't think you're allowed to have a game do that where it was like a memory card was a lot easier.
I'm sure.
Yeah,
I'm sure there's something. But
I just didn't think he was even necessary, because I mean, like, what the implementation is, like, his psyche is just floating around the ether, and whatever. But as a whole, I thought the reason they sucked the most is because they had the least diversity in their look and their story and everything else. Like, every other game to this point had, like, 4, for better or worse, really unique, different bad guys in the games, or 5 or 6 or however many, and it made it fun, it made it interesting. These are just the same 4 girls with the same tragic backstory, just add different animal and verb and torture into it, right? It was like a Mad Lib of, like, 3 things you could change, but otherwise they're exactly the same. They look exactly the same. There was just no creativity to them there's creativity. There's no individuality to them compared to the other games, so I found them boring.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I agree. I don't like him either. I agree.
Well, I think you're both wrong,
yeah,
but we can move on.
That's okay. That is the whole point.
That is fine. No, not to say they didn't have interesting. A couple of them had interesting moments, like in the fights.
Yeah.
A couple of interesting techniques, but as a whole, it's just like, okay.
Yeah, I would have rather them just been removed from the game. Period.
No, I wouldn't like that.
And the same. And, like, even when they all 4 crawled out of their thing, and then you had
especially
to train them
this boss fight
like,
that we get at the end, I think is way cooler than all of them.
Can't we talk about that?
Yeah, but it's just like that. Even them, like, coming out, that was boring to me, because it was the same thing. Like, if I'm using the pistol, I know the first 2 shots I'm gonna shoot, she's gonna go boop boop and sidestep it to the right. So then I'm just gonna wait, and then I'm just going to shoot her to the left. Or if I had the sniper out, I would wait till she walked all the way up on me, and I would shoot her from point blank, because I know they wouldn't dodge. And it's like, that was identical in all 4 fights. It's just like, you changed the character model hair. Okay. I got it. That's fine. So.
Yeah. All right. So from there, we pick up at the end of that fight, though, and so Snake finds Meryl. She's lying behind, like, a pillar on the other thing. And they're, talking, getting together, and she asks where Johnny is at, and they're looking around for her, but more Frog Unit soldiers start coming in, so he helps her up, and they get towards the exit, and she starts shooting at him and covering him, and she basically says, go, like, you need to go without me, and I'm going to protect the door here, and she goes, and she's like, they're like back to back, and he's like getting the door open. And she kind of like puts her hand on her shoulder, or his shoulder, and he like touches her hand. He goes, "Hey, I'm sorry that I got you dragged into this." And then she starts crying, and she says, "This time I've got your back." And she goes, "We'll meet again on the other side." And you need to go, hurry, and then shoves him through the door basically. And then we get and we can start to hear like the gunfire, and she's like shooting back at them. And as he starts to like make his way through the door, she leaves, and as soon as the door shuts, she gets like a worry, like she looks more concerned now, as the door finally shuts and he can't see her. And she starts to, it like shows her holding off all these soldiers, and then it cuts back to Snake, and he's like moving through all these empty corridors, advancing towards the microwave room, basically. And there is some words like that start echoing basically throughout this whole section where he's running through. And it's, there's like messages from Otacon, there's some from Mei Ling, Raiden, Campbell, and as he gets to the end where Campbell's like, it's time to do your duty. Failure will spell doom for the human race. And then as soon as that, it cuts back to Meryl, and she's still holding all of her ground, like with all these soldiers coming through, and she's down to her last magazine. And she is, she gets like behind some more cover, and she goes, "Come on, Snake, I can't hold out much longer." And she removes the last clip from her pistol and finds that it only has a single bullet, and she's like pissed. She's like, "I can't protect anybody." And some like 4 troopers jump in front of her, or jump near like where she's at, and she's taking cover, and she goes to jump out and shoot the last bullet and hits one of the troopers, and then she's rolling on the ground to evade like the gunfire that's coming at her. And as that happens, 3 shots ring out and drop the other 3 soldiers. And Johnny shoots up from behind. He's like, "Meryl!" And then she's like, "Oh my God, you're all right." And he runs into her, and he gives her a bunch of ammo. And she's like, "Are you trying to make up for being late?" And he goes, "I'll never leave you alone again." And from here, there is a little sweet moment between Johnny and Meryl here, where they're basically, I call this moment the Mr. and Mrs. Smith moment.
I was waiting for it. I was going to say, like, yeah, this is a Mr. and Mrs. Smith moment, exchanging clips with each other and stuff like that. I'm like, this is back to back. Yeah. 1,000%.
It feels like, I don't know the timing on this years wise, but it definitely feels like that's what Kojima was going for if it was out at this time. But they basically go over where she's like, she's like, "I figured it, like, you don't actually have nanomachines, do you?" And he goes, "Nope, I don't have any." And she's like looking, and he goes, "Every time we had mandatory shots, I ducked out." And she goes, "Don't tell me that you knew this was going to happen." He goes, "Nah, I just hate needles."
Mm-hmm.
And
which was
and then
very good.
She's like, "That's why you were never affected." And he's like, "Yep." And she goes, "Asshole." And then from there, she's like, "Johnny, I actually never knew any of this." She's like, "All those horrible things I said about you." And he's like, "Yeah, it's no worries." And she goes, "But if you're afraid of shots, then why'd you join my team?" And he's like, "I wanted to be near you to protect you." And Meryl kind of like looks at him, and he's like, "I've always loved you ever since Shadow Moses when I first laid eyes on you." And he goes, "Meryl, marry me." And they're like in the middle, like I said, they're fighting, going through this. And she's like, "You got a hell of a sense of timing." And he goes, "What do you say?" And she goes, "I'd have to say no." And he goes, "You'd rather stay single?" And he goes, "Okay, that's fine. We don't have to make it official." And she goes, "No." And he goes, "Well, how about we just move in together then?" She goes, "Nope." And then he's like, "Why? Is there something wrong with me?" And she goes, "No, I just rather do things my way." And she like spins him around and like pins him up against the wall. And she's got like a gun shooting out at these other people. And she goes, "Johnny, marry me." And Johnny is like shocked. And she's like, "I'll say it again, marry me." And then she goes, "Sure." He goes, "Sure, it'd be my pleasure." And then as they spin back around, they're shooting, and she goes, "And don't you even think about cheating on me?" And he's like, "I wouldn't dare." And then she's like, I want a real wedding with flowers and a cake, and it's been my dream. And she goes, "I want to be a bride. Take me home, Johnny." And then that's where they both share a little smooch, and then it cuts right back to Snake coming through the corridor, and he is making his way, and there's just waves and waves of these beetles, or the scarabs, I guess is what they're called, but they keep coming through. And as Snake enters the door, he starts to have a seizure, and he's like clutching his chest and falls to the floor. And he's getting right towards the door here, and all of these soldiers sort of make their way in, and they're slowly making their way towards him. And Snake is trying to inject himself, and he's like, Otacon, the shots, they're not working. And she's like, and Otacon goes, come on, get up on your feet, Snake. And as the soldiers make their way close, a figure in a coat leaps into the room and lands between him and the troopers. And Snake goes right in, and he's like, I am lightning, the rain transformed. And then from there, a burst of electricity shoots out of his body and shocks one of the soldiers. And they all start to like back up slowly. And he's like, Snake, leave this to me. I'll go to the server room. And Snake goes, the corridor is full of microwaves. One of us is enough. And he puts his hand on his shoulder. And he goes, my body is a machine. I can take it. Snake's like, your body may be a machine, but your heart is human. You've got a life to go back to. And Raiden goes, she means nothing to me now. And Raiden goes to like push past him, and Snake stops him. And he goes, Raiden, look at me. You still have your youth. Don't waste it. You can start over. From here on, this is my fight. And he goes, we tore the world apart and made your life a living hell. And Snake removes Raiden's sword from the wall that he like threw to distract the soldiers. And he puts it, or he's like holding it, and he goes, it's my duty to end, or to put an end to all of this. And Raiden goes, all right, well, I'll make sure they don't get through then. And then Snake puts the sword in Raiden's mouth, and Raiden grabs it. And he is guarding the door, and Snake goes through the door, and then he tells Otacon to lock it from the inside. And he turns back to look at Raiden before like entering the door, and Raiden says, thank you, Snake, and the door closes. And then from there, Raiden tosses his sword up in the air and catches it with his foot. And it shows, and then from there, like it looks like he's getting ready to fight, and then it cuts back to Snake. And Snake is basically just moving through the microwave room now. And it's just as bad as you would imagine. He's just getting cooked alive, and you can hear, like, Snake is, like, struggling, then he falls, and he's crawling, and then he's, like, just, like, dragging himself, basically. And every single step that you take, if you get too close to the walls will shock you and shove you forward and take more of your health. And your health is just going down, and then your psyche's going down after that, and it's just draining and draining and draining. And while Snake is making his way to GW, we sort of catch up to all of the characters that are outside doing their own things, right? So it cuts to Mei Ling in the Missouri firing at people, and there's geckos on board, and she's shooting at them, and they're all doing this, and then it cuts back to Johnny and Meryl, and then also cuts to Raiden holding off waves and waves of troopers with his feet blade, just like kicking everybody and doing all this stuff. And then it also cuts at the very end to Sunny being on the Nomad, and she's like jumping up and down all of excited because she has cooked a set of eggs without burning them. And then it looks to it shows the blue rose or whatever that Naomi gave her. And Snake makes it through the room, and he gets into the room with GW, and you can actually see like the steam coming off of him, like emanating from his suit still. And Otacon, or Snake, is like basically like dragging himself forward, like limping forward, and Otacon's like rolling his way over there. And he's like, Otacon, can you do it? And he's like, yeah, leave it to me. And so they make their way to the main terminal, and Snake is waiting for him to do, and the Mark III is like, trying to hack it and upload the device or upload the code. And while that's happening, a bunch of fucking scarabs show up, and they just start beating the shit out of Snake. And he's like trying to hold them off, because at first he's shooting at a bunch of them, and then he doesn't have any ammo anymore, and it's down. And they all are like holding down different parts of Snake, and they're shocking him and doing all this other stuff. And it literally just shows like just a portion of Snake's face, and he just shouts out Otacon's name. And Otacon's like, we did it. And from right then, everything falls apart. So everything from the system starts to shut down. And it cuts to Raiden, and he's like crawling backwards, like swinging the sword back and forth, like trying to get them away from him. And then they pass out. All the frog soldiers that were in the room pass out. And then same thing with Johnny and Meryl. Mei Ling is getting ready to like turn around. There's like a gecko that's like right out in front of her fucking window, and then it falls over and dies, and so she says like snake.
Wasn't it Rex? Wasn't there like a Rex outside like the front of her like window that was getting ready to like?
There. I think there might have been an extra ray or something maybe in the back, but no, it was a giant gecko that was
okay.
Because the geckos have Rex's head anyway.
Okay.
But,
I'm not thinking Rex. I'm thinking Ray. Yes, I'm sorry. I'm thinking Ray.
Yeah,
I thought a Ray was.
Yes, but there was a ray out there. Yeah,
okay.
yeah, there was a ray out there. Yeah. So Snake is shown like he's like covered with all of these scarab units that were still holding on to him, and you can see him like ripping them off of him, like just like whipping them across the room, like he's like pissed. And then Otacon goes, "Wait a minute, the worm is still spreading," and it shows he's looking at his laptop aboard the Missouri, and he's like, "It's not stopping at GW." He's like, "It's removing all of the other clones," and he goes, "No, wait, I don't believe this, Naomi." And it shuts back to the GW room, and he's like, "JD is also being erased." And then there's a video that starts to play, and I'm assuming that just like I did, Alex probably rolled his eyes at this part, but we'll see how everybody feels.
I think we all did.
Yeah, but she goes, so Naomi goes, "Snake, Hal, it's you, isn't it? I hope you're listening. The virus you uploaded is using GW as a conduit to annihilate the entire AI network. It's set to destroy all 4 AIs along with JD, the core that tied them all together. I've set this video to playback once they're all gone. Sons of the Patriots was only the beginning. The Patriots were planning to use nanomachines to implement the system over the entire population. I had an obligation to stop it. With a little help from Sunny, she helped me. She believed her talents could help you all put GW to rest. What she created was an anti-AI Fox die. But this virus's name is Fox Alive. It's the conceptual opposite with the nanomachines that I created all of those years ago. We wish to free the captured foxes, to let them run free in the wild. By the time you hear this, I'm afraid I'll be gone. This is a strange feeling, leaving a message to be delivered after you've died. Hal, if you're listening." And then it cuts to Otacon. He's like, "Naomi." He's like crying and touching the screen. She's like, I'm sorry I deceived you. It hurt me more than anything else, lying to you like that. I wanted to apologize to you before, but I never got the chance. And yet, in the end, you helped me feel the joy of living. Thank you, Hal. Thank you." And he just keeps crying. And then she's like, "Snake, hear me. Our country is an innocent child once more. A new dawn is rising. Now she can build a new destiny for herself. Snake, the time has come. You've earned your rest. The rose petal is about to fall." And it shows there, and Snake is shown inside. He's inside. It cuts back to him inside the GW room, and he slowly starts to stop breathing. And Otacon runs over with the Mark III. He starts freaking out, and the screen fades to black. And we get cut. Actually, wait, because this next part is we'll want to talk about. So, I guess I'll pause there for a second. Quick thoughts on that whole scene, the microwave scene, all of that.
I thought the microwave scene was cool. I could have done with a little bit of, like, if you're gonna make me go slow, give me some cool music like you did in the like ladder scene in 3 or something.
I thought there was it was like climactic music. It was like there was like a whole track playing
it was
there.
It was fine, but you had the opportunity to do a little bit more with it, make it almost like you did in the previous. Yeah,
sure.
Yeah. So like, but I thought the scene was cool. I thought it was all fine. I audibly groaned when they said "Fox Alive" because I was like, ugh, okay, like amazingly creative. But the rest of it was fine. The Meryl stuff and Johnny were funny. Like, it was really well done, even though they both got lit to hell at one point in that before they just passed out. But yeah, I thought all of that was good, honestly. I thought it was well done. And I liked the little touch of, like, when Snake got into the server room, he kind of saw, like, the tombstones with, like, the white flowers all over it. Kind of that throwback to 3. Like, I thought that was well done, too.
Yeah, no, I liked it a lot. Same thing with the Meryl and Johnny. Like, the whole Meryl and Johnny thing is whatever, like them getting together and stuff like that. But they made it fun. They made it cheeky. And so like I was smiling and kind of like, okay, I'm not a big fan of this, but like I kind of like what they're doing with it. I think this was a better representation of the whole split screen. Let's show what's going on outside while Snake is crawling through the microwave is really cool, because this time you're just holding forward for the most part. and you're not having to focus on aiming and charging a weapon. It's like, oh, I can actually look up and see what's kind of going on up here. I thought it was very cool that like as he's getting like cooked, essentially, like pieces of the exosuit are kind of like exposing itself. It looks like muscle
and like breaking off,
and it's like glowing when he gets finally to the server room, which I thought was really cool. And I'm sitting there like, fucking that Otacon is there with his little robot. I'm like, why the fuck did we need to go in here? If his fucking little robot can get in here and do the hacking, I'm like, why the fuck are we in here? But then you're holding off all the scarabs. I'm like, okay, this explains why I have to be here. We're back. I'm like, okay. I'm not as upset now because it's just like him, like, come on, Snake, let's go. I'm like, just fucking go. Go do it. I don't need to be here burning alive right now. You could just go. And then we get to the end. I'm like, okay, this is why I had to be here. And all of that I thought was really, really good. Not really much more to put on that because the next section is Chef's Kiss masterpiece. So let's get to it.
Yeah. So Snake is on top where Otacon, he's like, just wait here, I'll go get a medic. What we see here is it cuts to Mei-Ling really quick, and she's like yelling at any of the soldiers that are still left that haven't died, and she's like, "There's no war. Like, just stop. Like, you're just we've already won. It's over." And who do we see standing up above us but Liquid Ocelot from here? And then he's like, "Rise and shine, Snake. Look, the war is over." And Snake goes, "Why? You could have stopped us." And Liquid goes, "Stopped you?" And he goes, "Why would I want to do that? This is just as I'd hoped things would end. Back before Father's time, before Zero gave birth to the Patriots, the U.S., China, and the Soviets Union formed a secret pact." And then he goes over the philosophers and the Patriots and all that stuff. He goes, "But now we're free from Foxdive, free from the system, free from ID control, our minds free from their prisons. That is the haven that I've yearned for." And he goes, "This is it, brother. Our final moment." Like, the battle has ended, but we are not yet free. The war is over, but we still have a score to settle. And he goes, "And show me what you got, Snake." And they're both getting ready to fight here. And in the beginning of this is literally just a cutscene, right? So it's just them going back and forth fighting. And as they're beating the shit out of each other, they are injecting themselves with nanomachines to heal themselves to be able to keep this fight going. And right at the end, for a little while, Liquid is just beating the shit out of Snake, but then Snake is getting some shots in. They're going, and it's like they finally are clashing and coming to a standstill. And at the end, when they're both out of syringes, I actually love this part where Snake just literally looks up at the sky and just yells Liquid, just screams it, and then Liquid yells his name back at him. And from there, we get the actual fight. Now, this fight is, I think, out of all of the games, I don't know if you guys agree, I hope that you do, but I think that this is the best boss fight out of all of the Metal Gear games that we have played. What we basically get is, and I think, Preston, you do, this is basically a fighting game.
Dude, it started coming up, and I'm kind of like, man, it'd be really cool if it's pretty cool, if they just a little side little mini game of a fighting game, and then all of a sudden the health bars come up to the top left right screen. They're fucking turning this into a fucking fighting game. Hell yeah!
And so we get the health bars, and for each fourth of the health bar that as you go through, you are getting the theme from each game. Yeah. So the first it starts out with Metal Gear Solid 1's theme, the classic theme that everybody knows. Same thing with 2. We get Snake Eater from 3, and then we get the theme from 4. To all play. And I literally, the first time that I played this, and it's still happening again, but when you get to that Snake Eater theme from 3, and you're fighting and doing all this, and while I should say, you are also getting flashbacks of every single game that's coming through here, that's happening. And I just thought it was so.
Just think about now, I'm getting goosebumps when the song hit. I'm like, yes. Fuck yes, and I just do the hypest of the hypes moments.
Yes. And they are, but so you're going through and doing fights, you have fighting and stuff. So it's just you have light attack, heavy attack, and then you can grab him and do things like that, and go back and forth. After the last punch, so Liquid falls over to his knees, and Snake is the last one standing, and Liquid goes, "This is only the beginning, Snake. America will descend into chaos. It'll be the wild, wild west all over again." No law, no order. Fire will spread across the world. The people will fight, and through battle they will know the fullness of life. At last, our Father's will, His outer heaven, is complete. And he goes, somewhere out there, I know he's laughing. He goes, we are beasts created by man. Unless the light is put out, the shadows cannot be erased. So long as there is light, erasing shadows will do no good. And then Liquid starts to like gasp as if he's having like a heart attack. And then Ocelot actually comes back in control here. And he's like, I am Liquid's doppelganger and you are his. Just like your father, you're pretty good. And then does the fucking finger guns. Yeah. And he is like, he falls asleep, his eyes close, and he like lets out like one more scream as his body starts to like spasm. And then he is officially dead, and Snake is just sort of standing over there looking at him. And then a helicopter comes over, and it's Otacon, and he's like, what the hell just happened? Like, you know, so I'll pause there. Well, no, there's just a little bit from Otacon here. So it's just a scene. They're going over the aftermath of the battle. And Otacon is like, Sunny's program destroyed JD's brain, but left the brain stem intact. She analyzed Naomi's black box and separated the Patriots' control system from the vital lifelines of society. So the water, air, electricity, food, medicine, all that stuff is still, all of that infrastructure is still in place. And he goes, maybe it was her way of avenging Olga. And she goes, or maybe she just wanted to shape the future into her own ideal image, or maybe it was just one big defragmentation. He goes, Fox alive, the AI is truly a living thing. The AI is truly a living thing. The Patriots' reign has crumbled away, and still our civilization, a civilization that has thrived on war since the dawn of time, lives on. I wonder if we did the right thing. What did we lose, or what did we save? And then it cuts over to the horizon, and the scene starts to fade away. And then that's where the epilogue picks up. So I'll stop here, though. That final, because the rest of this is literally just cutscene. There is no gameplay left for us. That was the last bit of gameplay that we get. So how did everybody feel here?
Yeah, I mean, I thought that fight was absolutely perfect and the best part of this game.
Same.
Whenever things like that happen in games, I like to kind of role play the situation. So like literally the only buttons I hit were like punch and heavy punch, right? Because like I don't care about the grab, I don't care about the other stuff. Like I imagine in this situation, they're both jabbing themselves with the you know, the antidote or whatever. They're just punching. It's all they're doing.
Yeah.
Like all their might. By the end of it, they're tired. They're barely crawling around. They're just like punching, jam themselves, punch some more. So I thought it was well done. Like the music at the same time was like absolutely incredible. The little fight bars were very cool. Like it just looked very cool on top of it. But the whole time them yelling at each other is very Yakuza-esque. And the way they just kind of like are sitting there yelling at each other and stuff. It was the highlight moment of this game. And this moment sets a pretty good cutscene, or this game's had pretty good cutscene moments, right? Like when you find Snake's mom and you're going through all of that, and just even when Liquid is there, like on the boat and there's the body, it just everything's a fight. Like there's some good moments. This was by far the best one in the game so far. It was really, really well done. It's where the game should have ended. Hard stop.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you on that one. But yeah, it was really nice. Kind of get it. It felt final. It felt like the last little bit. Liquid kind of sitting there being like, "This is exactly what I wanted." Like I'm like, that makes sense to me. That makes sense that he would want to take down the Patriots. That he would want to have all this kind of shit, just bring it all down on fire, like crumbling kind of deal. Yeah, when you're just kind of sitting up there, and then Liquid just shows up out of nowhere, and it's like, that'd be really cool if they had just like a little mini game right here. You just fight each other. Maybe they could put some like button prompts and stuff like there, and they start actually fighting. I'm like, all right, well, they're just gonna make me do this. Where it's like I get a couple like interactive, button presses and stuff like that.
Like
all right,
or something.
And then when those health bars pulled up, I'm like, oh fuck yes, it's exactly what I wanted. And then you're kind of getting through it, and then I didn't really notice like songs 1 and 2 from like the first 2 games. If I paid attention, I probably would have. I was just enjoying like what was going on screen. And then when they finally like hit that like Snake Eater song, I'm like, yes, I was wanting this somewhere in here. Like, just gotta drop it because it's a banger. It's a fucking incredible song that was made for that game, and it needs to be just, if this is the last hurrah, like it needs to be somewhere in here. And then putting it in here was like the most perfect thing in the world. So it's I love this final scene. This scene and like the Ray versus Rex scene. I think are some of the two
Oh,
best
yeah, that
battles
fight's
in
good
the
too.
entire series, hands down.
Yep. All right, so the epilogue starts here, and we'll see. We'll talk more about it at the end. I think some of these resolutions in the epilogue are good. I don't know that I would say that none of them are where like Alex was
After
saying,
credit
but
stuff,
I think some of them
sure.
are good.
I didn't say they were bad. I'm just saying the game should have ended there. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, but there's some good stuff here, I think.
To be fair, there's a whole other game after this too. So
Yeah. It doesn't really have anything to do with this, but yes. So from here we start to see. I'm gonna skip over a lot of this because the end one is really the one that is like a long one. So I'm just gonna get through some of these. But the first one we see is Meryl and Campbell, or Meryl's wedding is getting going, right? So she's doing the marriage between her and Johnny. And Campbell comes through and he's like, "Hey, sorry, I'm trying to be here." And she like puts a gun in his face and he's like, "Oh, fucking shoot me then. Like, I'm just ready to go." And she's like, "You're going to walk me down the aisle." And he's like, "You're not angry?" And she's like, "Oh, I'm still mad, but you've got a chance to win me over." And tells her that she looks beautiful. And there's the whole marriage between her and Johnny that happened. And then Drebin's like, "And I brought gifts for everybody." Like, shoots flowers off and does this whole thing. The only thing that is, while this is going on, Sonny is kind of like having like a little like background with one of the characters. He like a regular child that lives on the island, and they're like playing and doing this stuff. And Otacon has like a whole moment, and she ends up there like Mei Ling. I think the bouquet like gets caught. She's like, "Where's Snake at?" And Otacon's like, "Oh, that guy will always keep you waiting." And then like it cuts to from there. Or Campbell's like looking up at the sky and he just says, "Snake, thank you." Scene shifts and we are in a hospital with our boy Raiden. And he has all of his limbs replaced and he is no longer in a crazy cybernetic ninja body, but he is in a pieced together regular body. You can tell that it is still
see sections.
Android parts, right? Like it's still Android parts, but they are set to make him look like a regular person as opposed to a samurai ninja. So Rosemary shows up, and they kind of have a back and forth, but really the full thing here is that Raiden is introduced to his son. He does not realize that it's his son at first. I actually love how snarky he is, where he goes, "Cute, is that Campbell's kid?" And Rose is like, "No, it's your son." And, it's this whole thing. Either way, the long and short of it is that at the end, when all this was going on, and she was pregnant, Campbell took her in and pretended, like, they set up this whole ruse, essentially, so that the Patriots wouldn't come after him or her and this whole thing. And it ends up settling in for Otacon, or not Otacon, for Raiden, that this actually is his kid and that she is telling the truth. And he's like, and him and Rose basically come together and are like, "We're gonna do this. Like, it's all gonna be legit now." And so there's like a nice little ending there for Raiden, ending, because obviously there's another game. But it'll be on his terms, right? So either way. And then the scene shifts again, and it shows Snake in a graveyard here. And he is over a gravestone, and he begins smoking a cigarette, and then he gets a gun and loads it and puts it straight into his mouth. The scene goes up, and we hear a gunshot go off, and then it cuts back to the airstrip with Otacon and Drebin start to talk. And they're more or less just talking about, they're basically going over the state of the world now with the Patriots being gone and all of this other stuff. And we're kind of getting a background on Drebin here as well. And as they're basically giving up everything, Sunny comes back over and starts talking to Otacon, and she's asking where Snake is at. He's like, Otacon starts to cry. And he's like, "Snake is sick, so he went on a trip to try to help him get better." And she's like, "Well, we're not going to go with him." And he's like, "No, he needs to do this alone." And she's like, "I wonder if I'll ever see him again." And Otacon starts like sobbing, and he's like, "Snake has had a hard life. He needs some time to rest." And she goes, "Are you crying, Uncle Hal?" And he's like, "No, I'm not crying." And then from there, and it cuts back to the graveyard, and the gun has been shot out of Snake's hand, and he's like sweating. And we hear a voice from the back that says, "That's right, good. No need for you to go just yet. It's been a long time, Snake." And who we see is Big Boss. And Snake immediately jumps into action and starts trying to fight him. And he's like, "Let it go, my son. I'm not here to fight. Or should I call you brother?" And Snake asks him what he means. And Big Boss goes, "It's over. Time for you to put aside the gun and live. It all began with a bunch of old fools. Now they've all passed away. Their era of folly is over, and I'm the only one left, and soon I'll be gone too." And he goes, "How can you be alive?" And Big Boss goes, "That body that Liquid burned on the Volta wasn't mine. That was the body of a clone, Solidus." He goes, "He was a perfect clone. Zero and the proxy eyes that came after him were convinced that Solidus was me, and I was implanted with nanomachines, kept in a state of eternal sleep by JD and the proxy AI. They had me sealed away completely, not only physical body, but my will too. The technology was similar to what they used to restrain the B&B members you encountered. For me to wake again, the system had to be destroyed, one way or the other. Ocelot and Eva wanted two things: to bring me back to life and to end the Patriots. That meant destroying the AI and killing the man, JD, and Zero. It was right before you uploaded the virus into the GW. The way to JD was open, but only through physical manifestation of GW. That's when we finally learned the location of this man, Zero. For me and for them, for Naomi, nothing was more important. And it was for that they put their grand scheme into motion. Eva stole my body from them and reconstructed it by replacing it with the missing pieces, or replacing all my missing pieces with parts from Liquid and Solidus and Ocelot. In order to fool the system, used nanomachines and psychotherapy to transplant... So then Ocelot, in order to fool the system, used nanomachines and psychotherapy to transplant Liquid's personality onto his own. He used hypnotic suggestion to turn himself into Liquid's mental doppelganger. For all of our advances in nanotechnology, information, and genetic control, they've never managed to control people at will, let alone turn one person totally into another person. So this, we finally, right here, we get an explanation of the quote-unquote like anime bullshit of Liquid's arm did not actually take over Ocelot's body. It was more so all of these other methods and nanomachines and these different things that helped Ocelot do all of these things, and they did it for this grand scheme. And I do actually, the one thing that I will say about this, because I think some of this is ridiculous, but I do love the idea of Big Boss having to get pieced together with all of these ragtag different pieces of his like squad, more or less. Solidus obviously wasn't, but that's why I thought the line of "should I call you brother?" and it's because Big Boss is like, I'm barely myself anymore. Like I'm mostly Solidus and Liquid at this point, which I thought was really funny. And from there, Big Boss kind of really breaks down like any kind of answer that you could have ever had about how anything went down from any point between him, Zero, and everything. And also like the system, the military-industrial complex, everything that Metal Gear has ever touched, Big Boss definitely makes sure to answer here, and goes through this whole thing, and during this, he reveals that Zero is here with him and wheels him out, and obviously Zero was a little bit older than Big Boss anyway, like even in Metal Gear Solid 3. But Zero is not looking well. He is on life support, more or less. And from there, Big Boss basically is just like, in order for this to all truly be over, we have to die. And it's time to return everything back to Zero. And he says that, and then starts to turn off the oxygen in Zero's for his fucking tank, and Zero just chokes to death in front of everybody, and fucking Big Boss is like, well, with that one done, and he makes a comment here. He's like, it's weird because up until this point I felt so much anger towards him, and I've wanted to kill him and stop him and do these things. He's like, but right now, like all I can kind of feel is just like sadness that my friend is in this way. And he's like, and I don't have any hatred anymore. And he goes, and I wonder if he felt the same thing. Like maybe he like, I don't think he hated me anymore either. But yeah, so he fucking kills him. And then Snake asks him if he's going to be returning to Zero as well. And Big Boss goes, "You've erased me 2 times before. Today will mark the third. The fox dye Zero planted in you, it's already begun eating away at my body. Truth is, the fox dye in you is what killed Ava and Ocelot." And Snake goes, "What are you talking about?" And Big Boss goes, "Naomi, she told me everything." And he's like coughing and like having spasms. And Big Boss is like, "They did it again. They used you to kill me. The Patriots know their proxies in order to bury us. They did it again. In the end, they're no more than a program. All they can do is repeat the same pattern over and over again. Do me a favor, will you? Take me over to her." And they start walking her, and Snake starts helping her towards the boss's grave, because that's the, that's the cemetery that they're in. He goes, "There's one more thing Naomi wanted me to tell you about the old fox dye in your body. The only thing that mutated, the new fox dye inside you, continues to multiply. And at the same time, it is preventing the old mutated fox dye from reproducing. The new fox dye is uprooting the old. Naomi confirmed it in her follow-up. The mutants are receding. Before long, they'll be gone entirely." And Snake goes, "Does that mean that the mutant strain won't cause an epidemic?" And Big Boss goes, "It will only live as long as you do, but even then, the process will just repeat itself. One day, the new fox dye 2 will start to mutate and become a new threat, but that is if you manage to live that long." And Snake's like, "So then am I going to die?" And Big Boss is like, "Everyone dies, you can't stop it. You can't run away from it. Let me tell you something. Don't waste the life you have left fighting. I've never thought of you as a son, but I've always respected you as a soldier and as a man. If you had been in my place back then, maybe you wouldn't have made the same mistakes that I did. Ever since the day that I killed the boss with my own hands, I was already dead. Boss, you were right. It's not about changing the world. It's about doing our best to leave the world the way that it is. Or no, sorry. It's not about changing the world. It's about doing our best to leave the world. It's about respecting the will of others." Yeah, there we go. And believing in your own. Isn't that what you fought for? At last, I understand the meaning behind what you did. At last, I understand the truth behind your courage. It's almost time for me to go, and with me, the last ember of this fruitless war dies out. And at last, those old evils will be gone. Once the source of evil returns to Zero, a new one, a new future will be born. That new world is your world to live in, not as Snake, but as a man. Know this, Zero and I, Liquid and Solidus, we all fought a long, bloody war for our liberty. We fought to free ourselves from nations and systems and norms and ages. But no matter how hard we tried, the only liberty we found was on the inside. Trapped within those limits, the boss and I may have chosen different paths, but in the end, we were both trapped inside the same cage, liberty. But you have been given freedom to be able to be on the outside. You are nobody's tool now, no one's toy. You are no longer a prisoner to fate. You are no longer the seed of war. It's time for you to see the outside world with your own eyes, your body and your soul your own. Forget about us. Live for yourself and find a new lease on life. Boss," and he goes, "You only need one snake. No, the world would be better off without snakes. This is good, isn't it?" And he takes his final breath, and he passes away. And from there, we get a little conversation between Otacon and Snake. And it's similar to the before, where it's like a conversation is playing over the credits. And he's like, "Snake, wait up, you forgot these." And he goes to hand him some cigarettes. He's like, "No thanks, I'm quitting." And he's like, "Snake," and he goes, "These things will kill you." He goes, "Where will you go? Our fight is finished. There's nothing left for us to do." And he goes, "No, there's one more thing I still have to do. I have to see this age off, see what the future brings." Otacon goes, "Sound good to me, I'll go with you." He goes, "Otacon, I'm going to be dead soon. You don't have to come." Because you said it yourself, Snake, there's nothing inside of you that can pass on to the next generation. No genes, no memes. You're man-made, you're a beast. And he goes, "I know, a blue rose. There won't be any happy Beauty and the Beast ending for me. What little time I have left will be spent living as a beast, a shadow of the inside of the old age." He goes, "Exactly, that's why you need me as a witness." And he goes, "A witness?" And he's like, "Yeah, someone who on the outside to bear witness to your final days. Someone to pass on your story now that I'm the only witness, but not that I'm the only witness, but I'll remember everything you were and stick with you to the end." And he goes, "Otacon." He goes, "Besides, you wouldn't let me suffer Sonny's eggs alone, would you?" And it cuts to Sunny cooking some eggs, and she goes, "Come on, quick, they're ready. They look yummy, sort of like the sun. It's rising again." And that is it. That is the end of the game here. So I'll go first, I guess, for the thoughts here, just for this ending part, and then we can all go around and do our final thoughts. But my thought here for the ending is the only thing that pissed me off in this epilogue was I honestly, I did not mind any of the conversations with Big Boss. I did not mind the wedding. I didn't mind Raiden and getting his little happy ending. I actually thought all of that was good and fine. My true only problem with this ending is this game once again trying to liberate Naomi from any sort of crime, where she's like, he's like, well, you don't know this, but Naomi told me that actually you aren't going to turn into a weapon. She let you think that, but this new fox side that got implanted into you is actually elongating that so that by the time you die, like a natural death, it won't matter anyway. You'll be fine. And you're not going to kill anybody, and there won't be some giant thing. And it's like, okay, but that all that makes me do is say an extra fuck you, because I'm like, you could have just told me. Like, you let me think. Not only did you start this process in the first place, but you then let me think that I was going to turn into a bioweapon and that I was about to blow my own head off in front of this tombstone, in front of Big Boss's tombstone, just to have Big Boss come back and stop and be like, yo, don't kill yourself. You don't know everything yet. And then it's like all this shit, and you're just like, but I would have never been in that position to blow my own head off had I known that I wasn't going to turn into a weapon anyway. I would have just went and started living my life already. Like, I don't know. I know it's like they're like trying to be like, see, she made it all right in the end. I'm like, but she did it though. And even if you do consider that she did technically make it right, but all you did was fix a problem that you created in the first place. Like, so if anything, I'm not like indebted, or I don't feel good towards you for any of this. Like, you did it. You did something that you went and were accountable for something that you should have been held accountable for already. But yeah, I don't know. That's for me there.
Good, Preston.
I thought it was really cool seeing Big Boss. That was a nice little surprise. I thought it was awfully strange that he feel the need to wheel out Zero all the way out to this graveyard just so he can kill him with Snake there. I understand.
Well, he says that he wants him and Zero to be resting next to the boss.
Sure. Maybe there's other things you could have done. You could have had all this, and you could have had like plans to have someone move you. And
I do think it's wild that he just murders him on the path. I do think it's crazy. Yeah.
I thought it was very wild that he's like, I wheeled him all the way out here. This old decrepit man is pretty much a vegetable, just so I could kill him right here in this graveyard. I'm like, okay, well, you could have killed him. You could have just had both your bodies brought to here. That's okay. It's fine. It's whatever. It all makes it very dramatic, and all makes it until you can do this whole expose about what it all actually was in the end. And it's like, okay, all right, we didn't know this, we didn't know that. It's like, you've had 3 to 4 games of me building up to not give a fuck about Naomi, not want to care about Naomi, have hatred towards Naomi, and you're like, oh, actually she was all doing it for the greater good. I'm like, I still fucking hate her. There's a lot of things that she did that I still fucking hate. Yeah. And I know you're her finally making the whole thing to fix it all. Sure, you got a little bit of redemption for her, so she's not a complete piece of shit. But I mean, just like thinking back to like she's all dragging herself all over Vamp, and like just the whole, I get it. She was trying to make them believe that she was on her side or whatever. And it's just, it all just didn't still sit right with me. So, I think that Sunny herself could have developed this whole, because she's just supposed to be this little girl genius for programming and all this kind of stuff. I think she could have made something that could have gone all the way through there and just taken care of everything. And it would have been like, oh, Sunny actually made a decision for herself because she's a genius, but she has a child's mind towards like, what if I just killed all of it? It all seems really bad. Like, what if I just got rid of all of it? And that would have been, to me, a better conclusion. One question. Did I forget, or did Fortune die at the end of 2?
Yes.
Okay. I can't remember if it was death or if it was like cut away to, because I know that she was saving everyone with her powers to like keep the missiles and all.
Yeah,
the
but then Ocelot, I think she dies at the end. Like, saving everybody,
that was the only
she
thing.
dies
I
at the
was
end.
trying to think of like that's the only character that I was like really interested from the other games that didn't show up in this one or didn't have any connection to 4 at all.
Yeah, she died.
That was just the only unfortunate one. She died, so she died. So that's fine. But yeah, all in all, like I thought, like this game was great. I don't know if you want us to give our ratings now or if you have more that you want.
Yeah, you go ahead. I'll finish with mine, but you guys
put
go
it in.
ahead. Yeah, and then you can just and because like we said too, we'll do we'll talk about the like.
So do you want me to give my rating and then give me my rankings? I can do that.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I loved 4. Like I was going into it thinking this is gonna be a whole bunch of fucking boring clips and cutscenes. I'm about to sit here. But the more I played it, the more I really enjoyed it. I thought it looked incredible. I thought it played really well. I do like having a Drebin shop right there, so I'm not worried about being low on ammunition or anything like that. It's all right there for me to be like, oh, this is nice. I can just I'll get this weapon. I can just get this ammo. Like, oh, I'm running out of trank stuff. I'm like, well, just up the trank ammo through the shop. I did like all that. I like the BBs. I like the fights. I like the boss battles that we had. The only thing I can say is that A, I hated the whole Naomi stuff, and B, I feel like there should have been more gameplay. Maybe more of the stuff to where like Alex really liked, to where it was that one type of where you thought it was Berlin, to where like you're sneaking around, you're doing more of that kind of stuff. Like maybe put some more of that stuff in there. Maybe put some more trekking around, because like at the very beginning, like you're doing a lot more walking around, going with the rebel groups, like advancing forward. But I think once you hit that 1/3 mark and you get out of that area and that location and you go to Berlin, like it becomes very linear, very like you're not going to be doing any backtracking, you're not going to be doing any, like a whole lot of exploring. It's mostly just
like in Act 4 and 5. Yeah, for sure.
Yes, so like I think like half.
Well,
if not more of that
Shadow
game.
Moses. Yeah.
I think more of half that game. Like Shadow Moses, you're having fun exploring stuff like that, but you're going one direction. You're not backtracking into other areas.
It is still pretty linear.
You are technically backtracking to MGS1, if you really want to put it that way. So, but I mean, going to Shadow Moses, having that Ray and Rex fight, having that fight at the very top of there, I like the B&Bs. I like all the chasings that you're getting, whether it's in Drebin, on top of Drebin's vehicle, whether it's on the back of the bike with Eva. I thought all that was incredible. At the end of this, I say this would be a 4.5 out of 5. I do think that there are some things in there. I wish there was more gameplay. I do think the Drebin explanation should have had more visual stimulus as far as like what you're seeing. Maybe give us more of like show the girl, even with still images, with what they were doing there. The Naomi stuff I hated, but everything else, like you said before, this has the highest highs and the lowest lows of any Metal Gear game. Although I think that some of the stuff in 2, I think, is some of the lower lows. So I would give it a 4.5 out of 5. It's damn near a perfect game. I think it did an incredible job at wrapping up the stuff, even wrapping up stuff you didn't really fucking care about, like the Johnny and Meryl. Like as far as like Meryl's character, like it shot up to like 10 out of 10. Like I love Meryl's character towards the end of this game. Like her being a badass, she's like, no,
she has a good arc.
Yeah, she's like, no, I'm not gonna marry you. Pushes him against the wall. She's like, marry me. I'm like, okay, this is really good character building for her. Like I fucking love this for her and for Johnny at that point. And yeah, definitely 4.5 out of 5. Stacking them, I was having a hard time. Like, I think Metal Gear Solid 3 is one of the most perfect games ever made, hands down. The small things in 4, I think, kind of knocked it down a little bit for me. So, like, I was really debating, like, is 4 going to beat out 3? Because it's hitting some spots to where it could.
Wow.
It almost did, but no, I'm going to say...
I can see Alex in his head being like, I'll come across this computer.
My internet might be down, but I'll fucking get you.
Yeah.
So I would say the lowest of the low, for me personally, is 2. I think of all 4 of them, that's the one I personally like the least. Even though you play one of the coolest characters in the Metal Gear franchise, I feel like it did a disservice to Raiden, even though it's his origin essentially at this point. I think it did a little.
Sure.
It was like I was like, it's really cool. We get to play a whole game as number 2 as Raiden. That's cool. I'm like, this is no, I'm not liking this. It just felt like you were Snake, but with a Raiden skin at that point. I would say 2 is probably the lowest, so I'd say number 4. 3 is going to be a Metal Gear Solid 1. I think it's an incredible game. Has a whole bunch of nostalgic vibes. Even if you just play it for the first time today, going through the entire series, like you'll still get nostalgia hits, even for after just playing that game recently. And then yes, number 2 I would say is Metal Gear Solid 4, and then the best Metal Gear Solid game outside of whatever we play next is going to be top tier, like the best out of the best. Like the music they made for it, all like the gameplay compared to like cutscenes as far as like the ratio we get, I thought was much better than 4. And I don't think there was like maybe the B guy, but he was like more of like a B level villain anyways. He's like one of the first villains you face outside of
Oh,
Valrosalot.
sure.
Like outside of the B guy, like all the other like,
The Fury, I think.
I even liked the guy who was like jumping around, bouncing around, the vamp looking guy. That is
The Fear.
The Fear. I liked him a lot. He was a lot of fun, and you can kind of cheese that level too as well. But like I think 3 is textbook, like Kojima, like best Kojima thing he's ever made.
Yeah,
I love it. And the music blows it out of the water. So that's my rating.
Cool.
Yeah. Yeah. So I did like the end. I thought there was plenty that was unnecessary. Like the big boss thing in Zero actually didn't hit that well for me. Just from a storytelling perspective, I think it was better done thinking that he had been like his body was being kept alive and we lost him in the fight with Liquid. I think that made Liquid a cooler villain.
Sure.
And like all the stuff that we're trying to get, Liquid was just like the antagonist that stops us along the way, that was like complete chaos. I don't care about what you're trying to do, like ruin it all, stop you in your tracks. From a storytelling perspective, like what they did made like his motivations of coming back and killing Zero there and all that, like it did make sense, but I thought it was completely unnecessary. So for me, that epilogue, like I could take or leave. The Meryl Johnny like wedding scene, again, like as Preston said, I thought that was a good character arc and I liked what they did with them. I thought it was fine. Like it was good to see or whatever, but like also just I was like, okay.
Unnecessary.
That's
you could have had a photo and show that they all got married.
Right.
Here's a photo of
Yeah.
everybody in it. We're done.
Yeah, exactly. Sure. I thought that Christian, I told you this when it was happening. I thought Kojima couldn't get off his own dick about how like everyone is free now and like the war economy is like. He said he had Snake, and I forget the specific line. I'd have to go back and look at my messages to you. But he had Snake say the same thing about 5 different ways over and over, like back to back to back to back to back to back. Like his conversation with Big Boss and stuff was the same line over and over at one point. And I was just like, I get it. Let's move the scene along. And I thought it was a little bit of a down.
I'll tell you
like,
what
not
it was.
A
It was
downer.
Big Boss. It wasn't Snake. It was Big Boss, and it was that last part where he was telling Snake all the different things that he's not under control of anymore.
Yeah, and it was literally the same thing, like 5 different ways. I'm just like, okay, I get it. So I thought it actually brought down the high of like everything you had just gone through up to this point. It brought the drama down a bit. So I wish it was like way shorter, like a couple of minutes. You could have dropped the Big Boss of the Zero thing. You made it way shorter. Like again, I think it's a personal preference thing. For me, it didn't hit as well as they wanted it to after everything we went through. And then I look at characters like Drebin, and Drebin to me was completely unnecessary through this entire game. I like the addition of buying ammo through him in the moment. Like I thought that was fantastic as far as a quality of life improvement to the game. Go ahead.
That's how I would describe him too, which is I think Drebin is a great character mechanically, but narratively he's like from a mechanics perspective, I'm like, dude, this is awesome. Like getting able to sell things, buy things, do all this shit on the fly, get my ammo or buy extra grenades when I need it or whatever. I'm like, I love this. This is fantastic, right? And then and it also plays into the whole idea of like, you know, like you might as well hear. You remember in Mass Effect, Alex, that moment where Shepard records himself as a jingle for that shop on the Citadel, right? It's like, this is my favorite shop on the Citadel, like that whole thing, right? That same kind of thing happens when you're out and about in the world in this game, where the B&B cores will be like, thank you for reaching out to the Praying Mantis control group, and you know, please call again if you need any of our services. Like So like that kind of thing plays into the idea of just being able to ring somebody up and being like, yo, I need a rocket launcher and 50 rockets. And they're like, on the way, sir. Like that whole kind of thing. So mechanically, I think he's perfect. Like, I'm like, I love this idea of a delivery boy who runs up and is like, were you looking for some weapons? And you're like, I sure was. Like that whole kind of thing. But narratively speaking, at the end of it, I'm like, I don't know what kind of story you're trying to tell here with this guy.
He was the B&B like lore dump, and it's like again, you had him delivering unnecessary lore for, you know what I mean. So yeah, I didn't love that. So yeah, I don't know, like I don't know. I think, to your point, I mean, as Preston said, Mucus, like it had the highest high in the fight and the Ray fights and so on. It had some of the lowest lows. If I rank this game, I would probably give it a 4 out of 5. And I think the game itself, the physically, like me with hands on controller, would probably be a 3.5. But from the Berlin moment to the final fight with Liquid would be a 6 out of 5, and it brings it up, right? Like if that I wasn't like, in hindsight, my comment at the beginning of this game actually rings more true, where I wish this was just Kojima's Advent Children. Like I would rather have just watched this movie than played this game, honestly. So I will give it a 4. If I stack rank them, I'd actually go with the same ranking as Preston had. Like 3 is easy number 1, 2 is easy number 4. I would rank this game number 2. So 4 would be number 2. So go 3, 4, 1, 2. But I think the ranking of 4 and 1, like Metal Gear Solid 4 and Metal Gear Solid 1, are actually really close and really far away from 3. I think 3 is so far above the other two because it was literally the tightest story he's told so far, while being very Kojima-esque. So like I think that's so far above 4, and I actually think 4 and 1 are really close, but I would, because like this one did have the really good moments and the cutscenes and the fights between Rays and the fight with Liquid at the end. Like I think it edges number 1 out. So yeah, I would go with 3, 4, 1, 2 in my ranking.
Okay. So
even with its faults.
Yeah, so 4 for me, I would be sitting at a gentleman's 3.5 for me. I think the sins of this game, every other game I think is at bare minimum a 4, which I think would play out, I'm almost positive that's how I've rated them throughout these episodes, but who knows, someone can go back and look. But I think that this one sits at a 3.5. I think that what this game does wrong is worse than any other game in my what it does wrong in the series. But the moment, like the high moments of this game, and I said it at the beginning, right? I said that it's the highest highs and the lowest lows, but I also said that at the end of this, you will, and I still maintain this, there is not a game on this planet that is like Metal Gear Solid 4. It is truly unique in that regard. And I always think about all of those Raiden cutscenes. Like, dude, like him fighting those Gecko in the beginning, to him fucking holding back Outer Haven and like stabbing his leg into the ground, right?
Yeah.
Like, there's that stuff. Him fighting Vamp, and then the fucking him like holding off that room full of people, and like all of this shit, and then like him, and then all the stuff with Snake, like what we were saying, like the Rex and Ray fight, and then God, that final boss fight is just like, I think it's perfect. It's exactly how what I wanted from the ending of this game. And I said, what I was telling you guys is I was going to end the stories. I had a really crazy nostalgia moment with this game where when I beat this game, it was on a Friday after school, and I came home and I started to finish it, and I was supposed to go stay over at a buddy's house, and he came and he went to pick me up, and I was like, yo, I just finished this, like I just finished the Liquid fight, and I was like, so is your mom cool? Because he was borrowing her car, obviously, because we all were on our learner's permits, and he's like, yeah, that's cool, let's just finish this up. He's like, because I wanted to see this too. He's like, so we'll watch this cutscene and then we'll go back, and he's like, I'm sure your mom will be fine. And so we're hanging out. An hour and a half goes by. And I'm like, and we're both sitting there like, we're both enamored with what's happening, but we're like, oh my God, when is this going to fucking end? And it's just like, Jesus, it keeps going. I can't believe that keeps happening. So similarly, I was telling you guys, I just couldn't help my, I played through it and did my thing. And Alexa and I were in the middle of getting dinner ready, and she came in, and I was like, yeah, I just finished this up. I was like, I'm just trying to watch this really quick, and then we'll go. And I think one of the World Series games was on that we wanted to watch together. So we're doing this, and I had a similar moment where this keeps going, and I'm in the middle of like the boss's monologue, or the big boss's monologue, and I'm like, oh my fucking God, it's happening again. Like, I am waiting for this game to end. And I have like Alexis in the kitchen being like, "Are you almost done in there?" And I'm like, "Oh no, but yes, but no." Like, it's this thing, and it was just this whole thing. And I was like, "This is how I would. I wanted this game to end. It's like, it's crazy that it ended this perfectly and ended this thing." That all being said, I'm gonna stick with a 3.5 on it. I do think that it is obviously. I think it is well above a average game at a 2.5 level. But there's so many things in this that I'm just like, I don't need all of this, and it needs to, and honestly, most of it centers around my disdain for Naomi and Kochima's incessant need to continue to be like, no, but guys, but Naomi though, and I'm like, I do not fucking care, and then all the B&Bs, I just dislike them from top to bottom. And so my ranking then, I think, is a little bit changed, because I used to do a ranking of 2, 4, 1, 3, with 3 being the top, right? And I've switched it now, where after playing 2, like I told you guys, I thought the story for 2 actually like hit me. I thought that it was incredible this go around. So I would actually go 4, 1, 2, 3 for me. But I also like I think Raiden's journey throughout that game is great. And all that stuff. But 4 for me is still, I will put it at the bottom, just below 1. I think 1 is it's a much tighter experience, but it doesn't ever hit as high, like the highs of 4, but it also doesn't have it. 1 does not have any of the lows that 4 has, so it's able to get a little bit of a bump from that. But I think 4 and 1 are very close for me, and then 2 and 3 are massive jumps from there. But yeah, I'll say that's where my ranking. Obviously, I've said it multiple times before, but the last game that we're gonna play here is Revengeance. Yeah. That's my actual number one. I put that game above everything. I'm
excited to see what Alex thinks. If he feels the same, he's like, "Yep, this is the best one out of all of them as far as that's concerned." But yeah, it is better to like take Snakes for, rank those, and then you can tell us if you like Rising more than the Metal Gear Solid series. But it's a different game.
Dude, I'm telling you, if they just gave him an hour and 45 minutes to tell his story in a freaking movie back in the day and just put that out, and then bundled that with one of those games on a disc, perfect story, perfect way to wrap it up. Somebody. The problem is when it comes to game development, nobody's in the room being like, hey, if it was a movie, they're like, hey, this is our field, so let's help guide you. Nobody was in the room in the game development to go, dude, shut the fuck up.
After stop. Metal Gear games too as well. It's like
stop.
Yeah.
So okay. Well.
But yeah, that's it. Right. So Alex, you gotta tell us what we're playing.
Well, so there's a choice. We have 2 games, both on the same console.
Stop.
Both from the same year.
You are cutting out so much that I can't even hear what you're saying. It's gonna ruin it.
Hold on.
Because it's getting substantially worse.
It's bouncing between red and yellow. Red and yellow.
Yeah.
Hold on.
You're good now.
Yeah, you're
Just hurry up.
It's green now. Am I good now? Okay. So we have 2 games for you to pick from. Both are from the same year, 2010. Both are from the same console. Both generally have the same Metacritic rating, in the high 80s as well. One is a game I've never played, and one's a game I've only played one time. And I checked the list. It doesn't seem like anybody had these games on their list, so I think it's safe.
I think that's
but
like
I want
most
to
of your picks,
clarify.
but
Yeah, but I want to make sure,
Sure.
because they're also both family sharing games, and one's my game and one's not my game on the family share. So
okay.
they're very similar. One is not BioShock, but BioShock 2. It is a different game. It was not done by Ken Levine. I've only ever beat it once, and it's a sequel to a game, one of my favorite games of all time. It is rated very high for some reason.
It's a good game.
I don't recall liking it back then. So that's one. The other is a game I've never played, but I've always wanted to play, and I've never gotten to it, so I was looking for a reason to play it, which is Enslaved: Odyssey to the West.
That's my pick. That's my pick 100%. That's my pick.
Okay. All right. That's what we will be doing then. Enslaved: Odyssey to the West will be our next game. That game has 14 chapters. I think what we're going to do is we're going to play the first 4. So how long to beat has it read at like 10 hours, 10 and a half hours. So it's not super long. So we're going to play the first 4 chapters. It says chapter 1, 2, 3, 4. I will clarify while we're offline. So if for some reason they're named something different, I'll let you guys know. But we're going to play the first 4 chapters.
Okay.
Cool.
That's that. Enslaved: Odyssey to the West.
All right.
All right. Well, thank you for hanging out with us, everybody. That's what's coming next on the Video Game Book Club. That was Metal Gear Solid and 4 Guns of the Patriots. There you go. So thanks for hanging out. If you've played it, let us know in chat what you think, and then don't forget to check in with Preston as Star Wars Sundays are back, and then we will be back at you with another episode next week. So thank you, and with that, Preston, you know what to do.
Thank you for listening to another episode of The Testing Room. To catch up on past episodes or to check out the newest ones when they drop, follow us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your favorite podcast. If watching is more your thing, check us out on YouTube, youtube.com/@thetestingroom, or watch us live on twitch.tv/testingroomlive. To leave comments or ask questions, you can follow us on Instagram @testingroompod, leave a comment on YouTube, or send them in to testingroompod@gmail.com. See you next time.